Hi, welcome back. It's Lionel Tech Lead and partner Westport. And first of all, if you're here at the end of the year, happy 2024, Merry Christmas. Now, I know I haven't been uploading much. I've actually got about 3 to 4 different videos out there, but I wasn't happy with the message, wasn't happy with what it was going. And there's been a whole bunch of stuff happening here at Westport as we're trying to monetize and make that passive income. But in a way, for the Christmas special, the year-end special, I really like doing this video because this was the original video that you guys may have seen, the one that's got 35, 40,000 views about me talking about PHP. And to me, it has a special significance because it is the end of the year and I'm actually sort of giving a rebuild or a review of the year, but also looking what's going to happen forward. And one thing I want to do with this video, right, is I want to give you guys, if you're feeling a bit down, a bit upset with the year, it's that time where everything's starting to slow down and you review it and say, gee, this doesn't look very good. And I want to give you guys some tips for the new year and how you can feel now and also how to actually get there and be successful. So lo and behold, don't worry. Let me give you a couple of tips on how to handle this and how you get ready for 24 and would be positive as the new year comes in and to just hit the ground running for that. And I think that's very important. So the first tip, right, is be your best caddy. Okay? The number one person who's going to root for you is yourself. And a lot of us, what happens is that we compare and then we start beating ourselves up about the year, right? Say, oh, I didn't achieve this, my weight loss program is this, my relationships. But before you do that, be your best caddy. Try to think of somebody else, and say, okay, can I be grateful for a small couple of small victories out there that you can get? Now, one of the things is that when you always look in retrospect, right, the early retrospect always tends to be negative, and in distance, it tends to be positive. That's just the human condition. But we don't want to wait for that. We want to accelerate that process and say, okay, what did I do really well? Then, next thing you can do is that whatever time that's left, let's try to get a few more reps in before. Separate yourself into what my friend Matt says, your best caddy, the guy who's rooting for you. Don't expect other people to root for you. Root for them yourself. And say, hey, you did a great job, Lionel. You did this. You're on the way. You're doing this. You're on the way to financial freedom, all that kind of stuff. You started stuff. Yeah, you didn't bring up a couple of YouTube videos, but you're doing the last one at the end. All your 3,000 plus subscribers are going to be so happy about it. They're going to feel so invigorated by it. Do that little pep talk. You'll be feeling a lot better once you separate that. Okay, number two, the strategy, right, is the grass is not always greener on the other side. Especially with social media, I've been talking about this for many, many times, right? Now you're bombed by those guys who's sending out a Christmas card with, their family and all that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. But remember, they don't send you the Christmas card that, look, everything's gone, there's flames going over the place, we're having a bad time, we're going through a divorce, all that kind of stuff. So remember, right, when you see that pinch of salt, a little bit of chili powder, this is just a version that everybody likes to portray at the end of the year, okay? And especially for the people who, just need to portray that. And this is happening all the time. So one thing you want to do is try to rationalize and say, hey, that's good for them. And you don't have to put them down, but you say, hey, that's not the full story. I always like to do that. So you see the fancy car, all these help gurus actually meant. So a while ago, a buddy of mine, I was flying into Australia and he went to the airport. Instead of picking him up in his normal car, he picked me up in a blue Ferrari. I think it's a 355 or something like that. And at first, it was fantastic, right? You see this Ferrari picking you up at the airport. Everyone's looking. Until one thing, suddenly I want to put my bag in there. We realized it couldn't fit in anyway because there's no boot in the Ferrari to handle a bag so big. So we had to strap it on top of the Ferrari, right? It's probably half illegal. And then the next thing, right, is that we had to drive so slowly because the thing could fly off at any moment. And when we hit a road bump, it went over and bang. And I just been in a plane for so many hours, the back wasn't so good. So it went, and like, oh. So I realized at that point of time, right, that the image of all these fast cars and lifestyle stuff is really, really different from the reality. And if you ever own one of these things, right, you know that if you don't drive them, the battery dies. You can't park it anywhere. You may have $1 million car, but you can't put it anywhere because you don't own the parking lot, or someone's going to scratch it, or the road tax is this, or blah 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 blah, tons of stuff. Or if you have six of them, you have to do some sort of musical chairs to move around so that you can move the car out. It's a real pain. So once you sit down and rationalize that, you realize, hey, I'm pretty happy with what I am. You focus on the stuff that you feel most happy about. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying if this is what you really like and makes you happy, don't do it. Like for me, I like to have a couple of nice watches. Nothing happens to the watch. It's much easier to run. When it runs out of battery, you just wind them up a little bit. There's no battery, it's the automatic one. But these things give me that status feeling that I have, a little bit of accomplishment. Sometimes your ego needs a top up. That's fine with you. But try to rationalize it and stretch it out down there. Rationalize what other people are doing. Okay, so that's point 2. Point 3, right, is how you can actually get the final wins in the year and continue. I talked about a little bit about this. What you can do, right, is there's still time on the clock. There's still time for you to get that 10,000 steps all the way to the end of the year. There's all kinds of stuff like that. There is still time. And what is important, right, is once that momentum is there, right, you'll be feeling a lot better at the year end. So in this way, I put up this video. I'm feeling a lot better. I say, hey, at least I did the last one. Maybe I can build upon that momentum. So momentum is so important when you're talking about, trying to achieve stuff, how you're feeling. Don't let that affect you. So one of the big things is that, maybe you don't have all these parties at the end of the year. And what you'll find, right, instead of being this bitter person who's the Grinch of the year end, you're actually working forward towards this. Okay? So very important about that. Do not try to do not fall into the despair stuff. If once you start working towards it, things are that is so important. I will look forward to teaching you guys how PHP is making that passive income in 2024, and I'm looking forward to give you guys some insight on my journey on that way, turning this into that lifestyle that you want. But in the meantime, happy 2024, and I'll see you in the new year. And that's the bottom line because the tech lead said so.